Hey K-popers, welcome back to Hallyu. It's no secret that K-pop labels are not perfect, and mismanagement is unfortunately pretty common in the industry. So today, we're going to take a fun and potentially infuriating tour of the K-pop dungeon. We'll start by clarifying what I mean by a K-pop dungeon, and then we'll look into 14 examples of groups who seem to have everything going for them, but were forced out of the spotlight by their companies. Before we get started, a quick thank you to Hallyu's honorary producers. If you want to be on this list and show off your bias group to everyone watching, you can support my work on Patreon. Patrons also have a say in lots of videos before they're released, so if you want to leave your mark on Hallyu, come join us over on Patreon. Alright, now let's get started on our tour of the K-pop dungeon. So what am I talking about when I say the K-pop dungeon? Well, the phrase has become popular among K-pop fans over the past number of years when describing a group that just can't seem to be given a break by their label. That could be mismanagement under the surface causing internal problems, not allowing the group to have new music and promote, or general pettiness that causes idols to not renew their contracts and the groups to fizzle out. Regardless, in every case, the soloist or group is considered in the dungeon when their talent and ability to succeed is left to waste away by the label. So, let's take a quick look at a bunch of crazy circumstances and decisions that caused 14 well-known groups and soloists to be sent into the dungeon, never to return. We'll start with perhaps the most infamous and prolonged example of this, which is the SM girl group FX. The 5 girls debuted in 2009 and had multiple #1 singles earlier in their career. In fact, their 2013 album Pink Tape is arguably the most critically acclaimed K-pop album ever, with Billboard naming it the greatest K-pop album of the 2010s. Their downfall started 6 years after their debut, when Sully left in 2015. Though their subsequent album 4 Walls was released that year and did find success, by 2016 the group had halted all promotions to pursue individual careers. The group's long hiatus and lack of any music at all was made worse by the group's high profile in the industry, and it was also marred by multiple controversies. These included, of course, Sully's tragic passing, and FX being in the weird position of having a Chinese member, Victoria, who publicly supported Chinese stances on political issues like the controversial THAAD missile defense system. A group that was in the upper echelons of K-pop girl groups now found themselves in limbo for years, and it wasn't until August 2019 that a reunion happened at SM Town Live in Tokyo, but as 3 members without Victoria. Just days later, Amber announced that she left SM Entertainment, and 4 days after that, Luna also announced that she didn't renew her contract. Victoria then announced her own departure, yet SM came out and said her contract was still under discussion. She has technically stayed with SM in some capacity since then, though really her career is completely independent of SM at this point. And of course, if you've been following the news, Crystal has also not renewed her contract, which ended about a week ago, and so FX's fall from the top is now complete. Alright, next up is the Pledis girl group After School, who also debuted in 2009. They saw great success from the start, and they became revered among fans for their unique and stellar live performances. Frankly, I might need to do a deep dive on this group soon because they had a very unique graduation system for the members, which created a continuous cycle of members leaving and being brought in. In hindsight, this likely contributed to their eventual fallout. As Pledis began noticing the group's strong success in Japan, it focused the group's activities there, and from 2013 on, the group was barely noticeable in Korea. In 2015, Pledis halted all promotions for After School and their subunit Orange Caramel. Members started leaving to pursue solo careers in acting and modeling, and the group simply just fizzled out. The group's maknae Gan even left to join Produce 48, just missing a spot on IZ*ONE after being eliminated in the final episode. Lizzie revealed in 2019 that despite the group technically still being together, only Nana remains as a member. Everyone else has gradually gone their separate ways. Pledis abandoned Korean fans with After School's scheduling and eventually left the group to die off with no clear reason why. Next up is the TS Entertainment group B.A.P. Now B.A.P had some great success with their 2012 debut song Warrior and subsequent comebacks like One Shot. Under the surface though, tensions were building between the members and TS as they continually mismanaged the idols. It reached a boiling point in November of 2014 when the group filed a lawsuit to nullify their contract for quote, unfair working conditions and profit distribution. The members said that even though the group had earned $9 million, each member was only given $18,000 by TS Entertainment. TS made statements publicly to refute these claims, but they did end up settling privately with the group in August 2015. Oddly enough, B.A.P did return with new music, and their success continued unharmed with more #1 releases like Young, Wild and Free and Feel So Good. However, conditions with the label behind the scenes evidently did not improve even after the settlement, and in 2018 Jungkook and Zelo left. Then in 2019, the other 4 members also left, bringing B.A.P's legacy to an abrupt end. While TS did allow B.A.P to promote with new music regularly, they treated them as if they were in the dungeon behind the scenes, and clearly this was not sustainable for the group. Pristin. What could have been. This Pledis Entertainment girl group was set up for success from day one thanks to two members having been in IOI beforehand, Nayoung and Kyeolkyung. They enjoyed commendable success in their debut Woo and first comeback We Like, with both reaching number 4 on the Gaon chart and both selling well for a rookie group. After their first comeback though, Kyla returned to the US for health reasons, and somehow temporarily losing 1 out of 10 members completely derailed Pledis. Fans had virtual radio silence for 7 months until finally Pledis announced the Pristin V subunit with Nayoung, Roa, Eunwoo, Rena, and Kyeolkyung. And Pristin V did nearly as well as the full group did, showing that the girls still had great fan support and that there was a market for Pristin to be successful. Yet bafflingly, Pledis again went silent, with nothing from the group for an entire year until they announced that Pristin was disbanding on May 24th, 2019. Only Kyeolkyung, Yehana, and Sungyeon would be staying at Pledis. It was as if Pledis had absolutely no idea how to adapt to change when Kyla temporarily left, and it kicked off years of Pristin's other 9 members being left in the dungeon. Now, 4Minute isn't a group that was necessarily dungeon by their label, but they certainly had the rug pulled out from under them. The group debuted in 2009 and were a force to be reckoned with in the second generation of K-pop groups. Their musical style and image set them apart from other girl groups, and they enjoyed huge success. 4Minute released 7 EPs in their history as a group, and all of them charted in the top 2 except for their first comeback, which peaked at number 3. And that's not to mention Hyunna's sustained solo success, including her appearance in Psy's Gangnam Style. Despite this continued superstar status, Cube Entertainment completely botched the negotiations for their contract renewal with the girls. Despite Cube saying discussions were underway well before the renewal deadline, the members told a different story. Jiyoon said everyone in the group wanted to stay together, but before they could even discuss the future activities, the contract ended and Cube left them so out of the loop that they were finding out about their own disbanding from news reports. And so in a flash, 4Minute vanished into thin air thanks to Cube's incompetence. Top Dog's story is a perfect example of how instability at the corporate level can really hurt a group. The group, who debuted in 2013, had their journey made very difficult due to mismanagement by Stardom Entertainment and Hunnis Entertainment. Top Dog originally started with 13 members, yet it's currently down to just 5, and they're now under a new name, xeno-t. In 2015, member Seogung went on hiatus and later was moved to a subunit, and after the company underwent a merger with another label, Kido and Gon filed lawsuits against the company for mismanaging their careers. And it wasn't just internally that the label was failing. In 2016, Genesis left to pursue a solo career, but fans didn't find out about it until the group's comeback teaser released with only 9 members instead of 10 that the fans were expecting. Member Atom then left to join Produce 101 Season 2, and then Hansel, Pigun, and Nakta all left as well to join the military and pursue solo careers. With 8 members gradually falling away, Hunnis Entertainment finally clued into how badly they'd been managing the group and how much they needed a fresh start. So they rebranded to xeno-t in 2018 with the remaining 5 members and subsequently released a Japanese debut single. And yet, would you believe that they have had no new music since? Hunnis clearly hasn't figured it out yet at all. And now we arrive at another infamous case of mismanagement, this time with 2NE1 at the hands of YG Entertainment. The 4 girls were debuted in 2009 with the image of girls who were not pretty by traditional standards, but who were edgy, strong, and very talented. Many newer K-pop fans simply weren't around to understand how big 2NE1 were, but trust me, they were massive. 2NE1 was one of the biggest girl groups in K-pop for many years and is still one of the best-selling girl groups of all time, K-pop or not. After Bohm's drug scandal in 2014 though, YG inexplicably put the group in hiatus. Because of this, Dara went back to acting, Minzy opened up a dance academy, and CL pursued a solo career in the United States. In all 3 cases, YG really did not do much to support the members in their endeavors though, which drew the ire of fans. After a year of hiatus for the group, YG announced that Minzy had left, but that the group would continue on as 3. Yet 7 months later, YG did a 180 and disbanded the group, dismissing Bohm and re-signing CL and Dara as solo artists. YG's reluctance to support the members in their individual efforts despite the group's massive success and brand recognition, as well as the lack of a clear vision for the group's future, led to their eventual downfall. While we're on the subject of 4-member edgy YG girl groups, let's talk about Blackpink for a second. I know, we're less than a month away from a legitimate Blackpink album releasing, but hear me out for a second, I think there's some serious valid concerns here. First off, we just saw how YG didn't support to anyone even after the group had proven global success. And when you look at it, there's a huge disparity right now between Blackpink's popularity and what they've actually released as artists, or should I say, been allowed to release by YG. Let's do a quick comparison of Korean discographies with some of the other superstar groups in K-pop, shall we? Blackpink's Korean discography right now consists of 0 studio albums, 2 EPs, and 3 single albums in a 4-year span as a group. In 5 years, Twice has released 1 studio album and 10 EPs, as well as several reissues. And in 6 years, Red Velvet has released 2 studio albums and 9 EPs. And when you look at the number of singles for each group, it is staggering. Blackpink has had 10 singles, while Red Velvet has had 23 and Twice has had 27. So yes, Blackpink is no doubt one of the most popular girl groups in the world, but so was 2NE1. And it's no secret Blinks have been pretty starved for content over the lifetime of the group thus far. I really do hope that changes, but knowing YG's past, I do still worry that Blackpink could fall victim to their label and be put in the dungeon. Next up is a group who essentially got shuttered before they even had a chance to shine, the ARC. The 5-member girl group had their debut with the song The Light, which I discussed in my deep dive on the Sable Fairy disaster. The group's members were very talented dancers and singers, and they enjoyed performing with a more raw, edgy style. Just check out this quick clip of a cover they did of Eminem and Rihanna's song Love the Way You Lie. Their label, Music K Entertainment, didn't like this though, and it was rumored that the label wanted to force the girls into a flashier concept and image instead of letting their talents shine as they were. Admirably, the girls refused to be defined by the label's strong-arm tactics, but shockingly, instead of compromising, the label shut the group right down, never to release another song. The ARC disbanded in 2016, as Music K seemingly thought no group was better than one that wasn't the style that they wanted. Now let's briefly talk about Crayon Pop. This is an example of a company just not seizing an opportunity they were gifted by the industry. Crayon Pop were moderately successful at the start of their career, but then they blew up with the smash hit Bar 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 and its bizarre visuals and choreography. The song was topping charts left, right, and center, and Lady Gaga even invited them onto her tour to perform as an opening act. Yet their label, Chrome Entertainment, let the hype slip away from them. Aside from a single called Ai, it wasn't until 2 years later that Crayon Pop finally had a comeback with FM. By then it was far too late to build momentum off of that incredible wave of popularity the group received with Bar Bar Bar, and the group quickly faded out of the spotlight as they couldn't reproduce that viral success. In March 2017, the group ended their contracts with Chrome Entertainment, and while the group is technically still together with 4 members, Wei, Choa, Gumi, and Ellen, there's no real activity and certainly no new music. Next up on the Dungeon Tour is JYP's quartet Miss A. Miss A was actually the first group to ever have their debut hit #1 on the Gaon digital chart. They took the K-pop world by storm, and they continued with that success all the way through to their 2013 release Hush. However, behind the scenes, JYP was struggling financially, and with Suzy becoming a very successful actress, JYP made the financially driven decision to focus on her promotions in the hopes of making money with Suzy without having to incur the cost of group promotions for Miss A. As a result, Miss A went on hiatus for over a year until they released the song Only You in 2015. The song on its own was great, but by then, fans rightfully felt that Miss A had turned into Suzy and Friends, and as it turned out, Only You would become Miss A's final comeback as a group. Gia left the group in 2016, and it was followed by Min in 2017. JYP finally announced that Miss A had disbanded on December 27, 2017. Next up is the brilliant soloist Lehigh, who debuted under YG Entertainment in 2012. Her talent was immediately recognized by Koreans, as she earned several hit songs with her first 2 albums and EPs, including 1, 2, 3, 4, Rose, and Breathe. However, after her breakthrough with Soul Light, YG inexplicably sent her to the dungeon, and Lehigh didn't release another Korean EP until May 30th, 2019. As a result of the lack of promotions, among other things, Lehigh did not renew her contract with YG Entertainment, instead opting to sign with AOMG. She's now started a new era in her career, releasing the song Hollow this July. Thankfully, Lehigh is now free to continue pursuing her music as she wishes, but she's another example of YG neglecting one of their artists who was very popular at the time. And I'm sorry YG fans, but we're not done with YG yet. Boy group Winner made a huge splash when they debuted in 2014. They were touted as monster rookies and the successors to YG's mega group Big Bang. Their debut found instant success and it even topped Billboard's World Album Chart. I think you guys might know where this one's heading. Despite the instant success that Winner had, YG put the group on hiatus almost immediately and had the members pursue solo endeavors and tour in Japan again. Winner finally came back in 2016 with 5 project releases, which again did extremely well and included the #1 hits Baby Baby and Sentimental. Yet again, YG put the group on a 14-month hiatus. Despite the group being monstrously successful, YG would not give them consistent music and promotions. Are you guys getting my concern for Blackpink a bit more now? Winner is now on indefinite hiatus until all members are back from military service, though the future of their activities when that time comes is still very much uncertain. Alright, let's round out this tour of the K-pop dungeon by paying a visit to Jellyfish Entertainment's girl group Gugudan. Let me just come out and say this right away. The past, present, and future of Gugudan is baffling. The 9-member girl group debuted on June 28, 2016 with the song Wonderland, and like Pristin, Gugudan benefited from having 2 members, Sejong and Mina, who were both IOI members and brought with them lots of fame and fans from the get-go. In October 2018, Hyeyeon unfortunately left the group, but they carried on with their 5th release as planned, the EP Act 5 New Action. The EP featured the song Not That Type, and it came out a month after Hyeyeon's departure. And then the group fell off the face of the earth. I mean, they had nothing. No Korean releases, no Japanese releases, no collaborations, no OST work, no more subunit releases. And to add to the mystery, the Chinese member Sally participated in a Chinese version of Produce 101 this year called Produce Camp 2020. And she actually placed 6th, meaning she's now part of a Chinese group called Bonbon Girls 303. And there was even SNS activity of fellow Gugudan members congratulating Sally for her accomplishment, which further complicates this whole situation. Guys, I really don't know what happened with Gugudan after the fall of 2018, or what will happen to them in the future. It's the definition of radio silence by their label, but I really do hope they release more music. As you guys know from the My Pick series, their debut song is one of my favorite songs of all time. Alright guys, with that, we'll conclude our K-pop dungeon tour. Hopefully you didn't get too triggered by all those stories of talent being wasted by labels. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive, and be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on all the future stories like this from the world of K-pop. This has been Deep Dive number 18, K-pop Dungeons.